Well, as I believe, are we waiting for Steve Peterson?
No, I'm here. Steve is here.
Okay, very good. Then I think we're complete, right?
Some people would say that.
Well, let's
Do you want to announce who's all on the phone so that everybody knows?
That's cool. Let's do a little round robin. I'm Luke, and I'm here.
I'm Cookie Man, and I'm here.
Barbara Cook with Weston and Sampson. Carmen Nash with Weston and Sampson.
Steve Peterson with Weston and Sampson.
Victoria Brown, minutes.
Thanks for your water. And I am Steve Bishop, Commissioner. Yes, that's Cookie Man, for sure.
So you're here in two capacities. Oh, good. Okay, well, as it is 6:30, and I will welcome everybody to the water sewer virtual meeting. Unfortunately, I'm seeming to get used to this form of communication. I'm just going to go with protest. I don't like it, but we're doing what we got to do, and let's go right into superintendent updates.
All right, thank you. I'm going to have to second that. I can't say I enjoy speaking to a screen, but we'll get through it.
Now, people, it's a virtual blast. Come on now. Got you all. Thank you.
All right. You usually keep us silent anyway. All right, we'll start off with everybody's favorite, the hydrant flushing. The flush to Pine Street, even though it's going very slow, is actually going very well. They were able to finish bringing the filtered water across town to Pine Street late last night, remove the air and any construction debris from both sections of water main, the one to the well and the one down Pine Street. And they actually, around 2 o'clock, I believe it was today, a rough time, were able to finish the pressure test on both sections of main, and they both passed. They are going to be working on the sequencing for sampling. There is chlorine in the pipe now, which was done after the pressure test. So now it's just counting down the hours until we can get the first sample and then the second sample off to the lab to indicate the water quality on both sections of pipe. We do have a crew that will be out flushing that same area tonight. We'll actually be on Crane Street using the same lateral that we brung the fresh water over, just extending the area that has already been covered. Prior to making a major transition, we're actually going to be changing the sequencing a little bit, and we're going to move the initial flushing crew across town to the northern corner of town, and this is where we're going to begin the aggressive flushing. I had sent Luke and Steve a quick email this afternoon with a plan that myself and Derek have worked on for a little while now, and although it is a very aggressive flush, we think it's going to be in everybody's best benefit when we're done. It's going to actually have multiple different reasons why. We can go into that if you really want to, but basically we're going to run off both of our separate booster tanks, and we're going to have 2 separate crews by the time Sunday, May 3rd rolls around. So we're actually going to have 4 different vehicles out flushing independently through different areas of town, covering some very large areas, and the largest water mains will be hit first, using our booster pump stations to achieve flow rates that we could not even exceed from the new treatment plant if we wanted to. This is our best effort to remove the years of sediment and debris of iron and manganese that have been in the pipes that have only been shaken up a little bit. This will be an involved sequencing to get this done with operations on the computer and with our technicians in the field using the hydrants and the gate valves. But between myself, Derek, and a couple other operators out there, we feel we can handle this, and it should shave weeks off of the flushing program by the time we're done. and the added benefit will be we'll have a heavy turnover on both of our ground storage tanks, which will then be replenished through the newly cleaned water mains with our filtered water from the treatment plant. So now we can take a breath.
That sounds very exciting.
It will be interesting. We've done a partial flush this way before, Derek and myself, and we had very good results, and that was running off of one tank. We have no reason to believe we would have any less favorable results running two separate crews, other than cutting down the length of time that everybody will be impacted and the length of time that we'll actually be out in the streets. So beginning tomorrow, Wednesday, April 29th, is when our first crew is going to move to the northern corner of town, and we'll run off the Cottage Street booster station. The second crew will actually start up Sunday, May 3rd, and they'll be working off of our Mansfield Ave booster station, working in that respected area. Streets are listed on the website if people need to find out if their street is going to be affected. Again, we always put the word of caution out with a loop distribution system like Norton has. Simple isolation of valves and operation of hydrants in one area of town can affect other areas of town. Those will be addressed with low flow hydrants to clean up those areas if we do have any impacts other than the initial flushing area, and those will be handled by technicians during the day. If we see that we're moving along on a rather rapid pace and we are not creating any major disruptions to the system, we may actually try and get a technician out during the day to further speed this process up and work on some of the smaller side roads. We've done this before in the past when we've had water available, and we actually have that option right now. That is about as aggressive a flushing attempt that we want to try right now. We will have multiple technicians out during the evening hours taking care of this, running around town, opening and exercising gate valves, opening the hydrants, and there will be a few buffer hydrants that will open to keep some of the pressures off of some of our older aged mains so that they don't notice any major changes in pressure or water quality that was unanticipated. Any questions about that?
Sounds perfect. I love it. This is a big step.
You are exactly correct. It's a major step. It's something that we've talked about being able to do in time, and we're pretty lucky now with the treatment plant online that whatever we do remove from the system is being replenished with clear filtered water, and it can only improve what we're working on now. So we'll move on to the water treatment facility. Methuen has asked for the substantial completion. Speaking with Tara multiple times a day, we've had a few conversations about some of the work that still has to be performed on the punch list. The wording was changed on the withholding. A percentage was actually added because of some of the work that is still left to be completed. With this change, instead of holding 1%, we'll withhold 2% until a certain portion of the work is completed. That letter I signed and scanned back over to Tara this morning. I'm sure that will be going off momentarily if it has not already been sent off today, depending on Tara's workload, which I'm sure is as heavy as mine. Work that was performed today at the plant was actually offline for the first shift this morning. They did install the 12-inch butterfly valve that is needed to help balance the flow rates through the filter systems. And we were able to get the plant operational for the second shift, which it's about a third of the way through right now. No hiccups. That went extremely well. That was one of the items on the punch list. Some of the other items on the punch list are a few leaks in the chem feed system, a little bit of electrical work. Those will be handled during the day, I believe this week. Tara can fill you in a little bit more on that. I don't want to go too involved with that. Then that jumps us over to a change order. Do Luke and Steve have the copy of that change order? The last one that was there, change order 2? Or has he had a chance to review it?
I reviewed it. I didn't. I don't have a copy.
You didn't bring your homework with you?
I apologize for that. Don't write that in.
All right. right, no worries. There was just a couple things Luke and I had discussed about some of the items that were on there. It would be so much easier to do this in a face-to-face and actually have a conversation with somebody. There were just some items that I had questioned on there, not being involved with the project of this scope before, and unfortunately not being able to go all the way back to the beginning. This was started under a different person in my position. Some things were handled a little bit differently, and there were just some questions that I had about some of the items and the costs associated with it, and where where the ball lies as far as for why we're on the hook for a few things. And if that's something that can be discussed later when everybody has their homework, I'd be willing to do that.
I think, do you want to set up a different work session for that? In a week or so, or you want to just table it for another meeting? What is your preference?
We can do either. The work sessions seem to be productive, or we can table it. It's difficult to explain something and without having it in front of you to see a wording or a dollar amount. And obviously we want to have Tara and Barbara in on that. Unfortunately, some of the people that were involved at the beginning, myself included, aren't with everything still that's going on as far as on-hand staff.
Right, it is a dynamic process. We'll let's shoot. This is Tuesday, so let's shoot for a week. So maybe in the afternoon, Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever works for the folks who have more pressing schedules. My schedule's pretty flexible. I will make a hard copy so I can have it with me, and we can talk over probably what is it, 5 or 6 of those items, Frank?
Yeah, they're pretty minor in the scope of the whole project. I just have some questions on a couple things, and I may be not understanding a few of the examples. I know Tara and I had spoke about this in great detail, and that there were some monies that were proposed, they were shot down, and there was an agreed upon value for certain things that were done. There's just a few things in there that I still question that wouldn't be in the original design on a treatment facility.
Right, that sounds good. Let's if it works for you, let's kick it for a week, and we'll look at it when everybody has a minute and the hardware in front of them.
No, that's perfect for me. And that brings me to my short list. So we can move on to some other happy news. Who wants to go?
Let's move to Tara. Do you have anything at the treatment plant?
Sure. So at the treatment plant, as Frank said, we stepped the plant offline briefly for the first shift today. Frank has a better update than me because he was working directly with Derek today. So great news that the valve went in. They do have some chemical feed work to do as well. That's hopefully going to be done in short order as well this week. And then as we worked out the punch list over the last several days, several months I should say, but in general the final punch list went to Methuen this morning, and that included a 4-page document with a bunch of items on it from the last several weeks as well. Obviously, as the plant's been running, we've found a couple more things here and there as each week's progressed, so we've added those to the punch list. And then as far as that goes, I mean, all 3 wells have been pumping into the plant, and the water quality was great. As Frank said, with the flushing crew, they've been doing a great job. We had crystal clear water coming over to Pine Street for our pressure test and chlorination. So yesterday, the crew was able to Sunday night into Monday flush the access road, and then last night they were able to flush the whole length of Pine Street. Well, not the whole length, as far as we've installed, I should say, the new portion of Maine. So we've got a lot of work done on Pine Street, and they did hit a little ledge at the end of last week that's continuing into this week. So they've been slowed down. They were probably getting about 400 feet a day, which was amazing. and now they've slowed down a little bit with the ledge, but they dug some test pits, and they're hoping they're going to be out of that soon, by tomorrow or so, hopefully. But the next step, once we get the bacteria test back, would be to start working on services as well. So we're nearing Plain Street, not too far. Got another, 800 or so feet till we get to that point. So we're figuring a few more days as long as we get out of the ledge, and that project's actually going really well. And that's kind of the update on those two main water projects. So we talked about wells 5 and 6 yesterday. So the whole goal is to we did submit today for the construction planning for the production well for the replacement well at 5. And I've got some calls into conservation just to confirm whether or not a notice of intent is required. But we're under the assumption that it is, so we're starting to prepare for that for the 8-inch test well we discussed as our recommendation for proceeding with the replacement for well 6.
Sounds good. Dare I ask if the downspout couplings are installed at the lovely treatment facility? Somebody's got to throw me a ball. One day.
I'm going to let you know that they relocated the outlet, and
that's almost as good.
Yeah, and they adjusted the downspout for that, so that's done. So that was good. That was good news. When we were out on site a couple weeks ago, they had not put the adapters on for the downspout, so that is on the punch list.
Cool.
It's possible it has been done, but we have not visually seen it, so we're not taking it off the list until Leslie Sampson inspects it.
No, gotcha. Derek is there every day, and he got a valve, so I guess he's at a higher level than I am, and I'm sure he's happy about his valve. So I guess only one of us gets our thing for a week.
That was a critical item that we really wanted to get installed. Obviously, as Frank's indicating, the flushing is critical at this point, trying to get as much flow. So having the plant offline even briefly now is, we want to have it offline as little as possible. So that getting the valve in will help to move forward with the next level of items on the punch list for final testing and getting the U.S. Water on site and Tonka filter guys to check the plant after that's been installed. So we're in pretty good shape. I'm knocking on wood right now, though, and hoping things continue and we can continue work with Midland and have this all wrapped up hopefully in the next several weeks for the majority of the work. And then there's a few items that we just want to make sure stabilize as far as the grass and whatnot. So
is the new the fill-in project manager more detail-oriented than those in the past?
I would say he's definitely more aware and understanding of construction methods, and I'll leave it at that. His paperwork is he's more of a field guy, so there's an office person taking care of that. But I'll take a thorough on-site contractor that is a cleaner, as they indicated to us, to clean things up. They've gotten a decent amount of stuff done, but it's not, they're kind of waiting for the final punch list to be able to use that with their main office, basically, to force the issue. Here it is. We got to get the guys out there and start moving. So once they have the official list, that's what they can go off of and move forward. So they got that this morning. We're looking forward to keeping an eye on them and coming out to the site when we're ready for the inspections for the completed work.
Excellent. If that's it for the water side of things, Tara, I'll move on to Steve Peterson.
Excellent. All right, so we have received approval from Mass DOT for daytime construction out on the state highway, which was important. So they are allowed to work between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m., which is an unprecedented window for work in the state highway. So we have that. Unfortunately, the contractor has also submitted a permit for blasting, and they're still waiting on the final word on that. If you'll recall, when they finished up last season, They were hammering away at the rock. It had just gotten to a point where they are right now. They're in the deepest cut. The sewers are about 14 feet deep, and the rock right now is about 2 or 3 feet below ground. So they've got about 8 to 10 feet of rock in the current location that they're at. That hammering was obviously taking time, and it was very disruptive. So we're hoping to get some movement from the state on getting authorization to at least do some limited blasting in areas where it is needed. At this point, the contractor is continuing the cleanup behind the work that he did last year. So he's doing paving. They're currently doing the paving at Wheaton College and out on Route 140 through the intersection with Route 123. The intent is to get that. They actually just put in the last one service connection on Route 123. They've done one across Route 123, and they had to do that one in order to be able to extend the overlay paving beyond where the traffic loops are, the ones that have been taken out of service. The lights are currently on timers. So the hope is, or the plan is, that they will now be able to final pave all of Taunton Ave and 123 up past Mansfield Ave, just a little bit past where Mansfield Ave comes in, and again beyond where the traffic loop detectors are, so that they can put those back in service. They have also done some work at the pump station. The building itself was installed last week. They are currently waiting on the gas and electric utility to do their work so that they can make the utility connections and get things wired up at the station. So that's kind of where they're at right now. We're at a little bit of a standstill as far as continuing the construction on Route 123, and are trying to get some movement on that. They submitted, and I forwarded Frank with copies to you guys, payment application number 8. I think I sent that out on Monday. That's about $400,000, and that's for the recent work at the pump station. Most of it's pump station work, and then the tonnage on the paving. They've been doing the permanent trench paving on 140, getting ready for the overlay. So I don't know. So the one issue with that is getting the signatures, Frank, right, before it gets submitted to get out. I don't think you guys need to. I don't know if you need to vote on that or not. The payment of that payment application would hurt. But then ultimately it'll need to be signed so that it can get processed.
I think it's just ongoing work. If I'm not mistaken, we really just need to sign it.
I think that's what we've done in the past, yeah. So I think that's all. The other thing that I did just send today, Frank, and again I copied Steve and Luke, so if you can look at it on your email, is change order number 3. This one's pretty straightforward. So this is in relation to the final paving. So after they do the final trench paving, they have to go out and mill the lane width on the state highway to 2 inches and put down 2 inches of mix. That final top course, Mass DOT is requiring a super pave, which they required in the permit. We did not have the permit at the time of the bid, so it's slightly different than what was in our specification. So there's an increased cost of about $15 per ton. We've looked at the numbers; they make sense with the Mass DOT weighted average bid prices and all of that right now, as far as the dollars that they're looking for. So we're recommending basically the change order gives them the add-on item for additional $15 when they do this work. the total tonnage on the job is like 1,500 tons. So at the extra $15, it would be about $22,000 when all said and done. The extra cost of the required super pave on the top course. So I don't know if you're prepared to, if you want to discuss that anymore, if you have any questions or how you want to handle that. But they will be doing that work hopefully in the next couple of weeks. The super pave.
Right. It's just on the tonnage that they're doing. It won't be the whole thing. So if it's a requirement, they're
Right,
have to do it. There's not a lot we can do about it.
This rec will have about 5,000, $4 or $5 grand worth of the.
No, that makes sense.
So I think if you guys are comfortable with that, we would want a motion on that. Up to you. And then
Okay.
set up a Frank signature.
Yep. No, that's cool. Okay, Mr. Bishop, we're going to look for a motion to approve the increase in price of with respect to super pavement that the state Mass DOT is requiring on the 2-inch overlay in the lane width.
So to make a motion to approve change order number 3 for the price increase of $15.05 per ton as per the state highway permit.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And we'll just do that with each pay rec, Steve.
What's that? So yeah, I mean you just needed to vote on it the one time. So basically it'll be, so they have an item 9G, I think it is, or whatever, 9F for that paving, and then as part of the change order, you add the additional cost. So when they put in for that item, they'll put in for the $100 per ton that they bid, and then the $15 additional will be carried under the other item through the change order. And I think that's what I have now in terms of the sewer. So we're continuing to work to hopefully start making some progress. I guess I do have to report that we are not getting 400 feet a day like Tara was bragging about. But other than that, that's what I
They might be banging on that same rock that you have over there, Steve.
I don't wish that on anybody.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Does anybody else have anything? Anything at all?
I do not believe so on my end.
Okay, I think we have successfully put another virtual meeting behind us. I will thank everybody for their attendance, and like I said, if we can rally and maybe have a little work session Tuesday or Wednesday, 1 week or so, maybe in the afternoon if that works for people, or whatever time works. Maybe I will ask that Tara be the lead person and just kind of shoot us that meeting link, and we'll respond in the affirmative of the ones we can make, and we'll head on to that.
Sure, will do.
On that note, thank you, Tara. On that note, I will ask Mr. Bishop for his favorite motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that, and peace out, everybody. Have a good evening, and we'll talk to you real soon.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Good night, Peter.
I have a question for Victoria. That meeting that you're talking about, is that like in 2 weeks, or is that in a couple of days? And do you need me to do the recordings for it?
It's good. I'm going to call that a work session, so I don't know that we'll have to be recording it. It's just going on one topic. I think we're okay.
Okay, all right, cool. No, I just didn't know if you needed me or anything. All righty.
Oh, that's right. We do need to set,
The next meeting.
good work. I don't have,
I have a calendar. Hold on, give me 1 second.
yep, so second and fourth Tuesdays, please.
It's gonna be the 12th and the 26th.
Very nice.
Good for me.
Feels like we'll be into May.
Yes.
All right, then. Of course we will. All right, we are definitely adjourned then. Thank you all and good night.
Right.
Good night. Have a great evening, everyone. Stay safe.